It's never about the piece of lingerie itself. It's about the woman who wears it and the energy she carries the moment she lets that fabric touch her skin. When you stand before a mirror and choose something sensual, you are not just picking lace or silk. You're picking an emotion, a vibration. Lingerie is a statement that says, I see myself. Before a man ever lays eyes on it, he feels its energy through you. It's the difference between a woman who wears it to impress and a woman who wears it to express. The latter doesn't wait for approval. She knows she's already magnetic. The lingerie becomes an amplifier of her presence, a physical reflection of the invisible confidence she radiates. When you understand this, you stop dressing for reaction and start dressing for alignment. The moment you wear something that makes you feel powerful, your body language changes, your walk slows down, your voice softens, your gaze deepens. That shift is what he feels before he even realizes why he's drawn to you. Energy is the real seduction. The lace might attract the eyes, but it's the frequency of self-assurance that captures the mind. You see, desire is never truly visual, it's energetic. When you embody the energy of a woman who knows her worth, you don't need to reveal too much. Your presence already whispers everything. Every thread, every texture becomes a ritual of embodiment. When you slip on that piece, you are slipping into a new version of yourself, a version that doesn't apologize for wanting to feel adored. It's not the lingerie that transforms you, it's the intention behind wearing it. There's a difference between putting on something because you hope he'll like it and wearing it because it reminds you of who you are: soft, powerful, sensual, and deeply magnetic. That awareness changes how you move through space. You stop chasing validation and start attracting attention effortlessly. He can sense it in your silence, in the way you breathe, in the way your energy fills the room without trying. The truth is, when you feel alive in your own skin, you awaken something ancient within him. You reflect back the kind of feminine energy that makes him drop his guard, that pulls him out of his head and into his senses. He doesn't even realize it's happening, but he feels a gravitational pull. A pull that starts not from what you're wearing, but from how you're being. The lingerie simply becomes the language through which your confidence speaks. It says, without words, I am enough, I am beauty, I am power. And when that energy meets his gaze, it disarms him because it's rare, because it's real, because in a world where so much is performed, he feels the authenticity of your self-possession. That's what makes him weak. Not the lace, not the silk, but the woman who knows that what she wears is only a reflection of what she already is inside: magnetic, certain, and untamed. There is a unique power in what is not seen. The art of seduction has never been about exposure. It has always been about anticipation. The most captivating lingerie does not scream for attention. It whispers, and in that whisper, it awakens curiosity. When a man encounters a woman who understands the beauty of mystery, his imagination begins to work harder than his eyes. The anticipation, the pause, the space between what is revealed and what is concealed, that is where desire is born. Lingerie becomes a psychological invitation, not a display. It's a dance between concealment and revelation, where each subtle movement, each shift in fabric, makes him lean in just a little closer, not because he wants to see more, but because he wants to feel more. When you wear lingerie that balances allure with restraint, you are playing with one of the most primal human instincts, the thrill of discovery. The slightest glimpse of lace beneath a robe, the delicate outline visible only under soft light, the way a strap falls against your skin, it all becomes a narrative, a slow unveiling. Men are wired to chase mystery, to crave the moment before fulfillment. The lingerie that makes him weak is the one that tells him there's more to be discovered, more to be unwrapped, more to be earned. It's the silence before the music, the shadow before the light. It's psychological, not physical. It's not about how much you show, but about how much you make him imagine. Anticipation fuels desire because it awakens the mind. When you create space for his imagination, you invite him into your world, one where he becomes an active participant rather than a passive observer. The most powerful form of attraction doesn't come from putting everything on display, it comes from letting him sense the depth of what's hidden. When a woman wears lingerie that teases rather than tells, that suggests rather than states, she becomes unforgettable. Because she gives him an experience, not an image. Every glance, every breath, every movement becomes a clue in the story she's telling without words. And this isn't just about visual temptation, it's about energy. When you hold a part of yourself back, when you allow him to reach for you rather than handing yourself over, you shift the dynamic of power. You become the one who decides when to reveal and when to withhold, and that quiet control is intoxicating. Men respond not only to beauty, but to the emotional rhythm of tension and release. That's what anticipation does. It creates a rhythm. It's like a heartbeat, steady and slow, pulling him deeper into the moment. The psychology of anticipation is the essence of seduction. It's not performance, it's patience. It's knowing that a single glance can say more than a full display. That mystery lingers longer than exposure ever could. It's an unspoken understanding that what truly weakens him is not what you show, but how effortlessly you make him crave what remains just beyond reach. Every man has a silent language of desire, an unspoken emotional code that awakens through texture, color, and symbolism. Each piece of lingerie holds a different energy, a different vibration that speaks directly to his subconscious. The black lace set, for instance, isn't just fabric, it's mystery woven into thread. Black carries an aura of intrigue, a quiet dominance, a sense of something forbidden yet irresistible. When a woman wears black lace, she embodies depth and control. She becomes the unknown that he wants to explore. It's the color of secrets whispered in the dark, of power softened by touch. It doesn't need to shout. It captivates through silence, through the confidence that comes from knowing she holds the reins of attraction. Then there is the white silk slip, pure, soft, fluid. It embodies innocence, but not naivety. It's the essence of surrender, of openness, of letting go of control while remaining completely self-aware. When silk moves with the body, it mimics water. It flows, it glides, it reflects light in a way that reminds him of tenderness. White silk disarms him because it carries vulnerability, and vulnerability is magnetic. It's not the kind that pleads, it's the kind that invites. When a woman wears it, she's saying, I trust my softness, and that trust makes him melt. It touches the part of him that craves to protect, to cherish, to lose himself in something pure. The red corset, on the other hand, ignites something primal. Red is not just a color, it's a command. It awakens passion, hunger, and boldness. A corset with its structure and shape represents dominance wrapped in elegance. It's the embodiment of fire. The woman who wears it isn't waiting to be desired, she's daring him to handle her intensity. Every curve that it shapes, every line that it defines, speaks of ownership, of body, of presence, of sensuality. When she moves, the air itself seems to vibrate differently. The red corset says, I am the storm, and he cannot help but surrender to it. The sheer bodysuit is the embodiment of confidence. It hides nothing and yet gives everything form. It says, I am comfortable in my skin. It's fearless, unapologetic, and intoxicatingly modern. A woman who wears a sheer bodysuit knows that her power lies not in perfection but in presence. The transparency doesn't expose weakness, it celebrates reality. It's a declaration of authenticity, of being seen exactly as she is, and that truth hits him deeper than any illusion. He doesn't see just her body, he sees her certainty, and that certainty is addictive. And then there's the barely there thong, the piece that speaks in whispers, not words. It carries danger and playfulness, rebellion and freedom. It's not about practicality, it's about daring. It says, I'm not afraid to be wanted. It awakens his instinctual attraction because it lives in the balance between elegance and wildness. It teases the imagination, suggesting both invitation and challenge. Each of these pieces holds its own secret power, and when a woman learns to wear them not for validation, But for self-expression, she doesn't just wear lingerie, she wields it like art, each piece becoming a different language of feminine energy that leaves him utterly undone. Every time a woman chooses lingerie, she is having a conversation with herself. It's not about fabric or design, it's about identity. In front of that mirror, she listens to two voices, the voice of doubt and the voice of power. The voice of doubt says, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to look a certain way to deserve this. But the voice of power whispers, you are already enough. You are already desired. That's the moment of transformation when lingerie stops being clothing and becomes a declaration. The way she sees herself shifts. She doesn't wear it to be approved of. She wears it because it connects her to her own feminine energy, her inner current of magnetism that's always been there, waiting to be remembered. Every woman has felt that moment of hesitation when she looks at something sensual and wonders if it's too bold. But that hesitation is the edge where confidence is born. When she chooses to wear it anyway, not to prove something, but to feel something, she crosses into a new level of self-awareness. It's no longer about seducing someone else. It's about awakening her own senses, reminding herself of her softness, her curves, her power. The lingerie becomes a physical form of self-talk. Every strap says, I am allowed to take up space. Every piece of lace says, I am allowed to be seen. And that inner permission is what changes everything. Because when a woman feels desired by herself first, her entire energy field shifts. It's visible in her eyes, in her movements, in the subtle tilt of her chin. She doesn't seek validation. And paradoxically, that's what makes her irresistible. A man can feel that difference instantly. He can sense when she's dressing to gain approval versus when she's dressing to honor herself. The latter draws him in on a deeper level. It's not performance, it's embodiment. The confidence that comes from self-acceptance is magnetic. It doesn't demand attention, it commands it. Lingerie, then, becomes an emotional mirror. It reflects how she feels about her own desirability. When she chooses pieces that make her feel something rather than just look a certain way, she is rewriting her internal dialogue. The woman who once thought, I hope he likes this, begins to think, I love how I feel in this. And that shift in language changes everything. The energy of self-assurance replaces the insecurity of seeking. Desire begins within her and flows outward. Men are deeply responsive to this kind of authenticity. They might not articulate it, but they sense when a woman's confidence is coming from within. They are moved by her comfort in her own body, her ability to embrace both her softness and her strength. The way she wears the lingerie is not about how it fits her shape. It's about how it fits her story. When she embraces the narrative of worthiness, she stops trying to become desirable and realizes she already is. That realization is electric. It's what makes her energy linger long after she's left the room. Confidence has always been the real language of seduction. It's the invisible force that turns the simplest gesture into a spark, the smallest glance into an invitation. Lingerie, no matter how exquisite, only magnifies what's already within. When a woman puts on something delicate, it's not the lace that makes her magnetic. It's the belief she holds about herself underneath it. True allure doesn't come from trying to be sexy. It comes from knowing she already is. The moment she stands before the mirror and sees not flaws but power, not imperfection but individuality, something inside her shifts, her energy expands, her presence becomes undeniable. She doesn't need to pose, perform, or exaggerate. Her quiet certainty is enough to make the air around her change. When a woman is confident, she doesn't wear lingerie to impress. She wears it to express. She wears it to reconnect with her own sensual rhythm, to remind herself that her body is not something to fix. It's something to celebrate. That sense of ownership radiates in ways words cannot describe. Confidence has a texture, a vibration, and when she embodies it, it travels before her. A man feels it before he even sees her. It's in the way she breathes, the ease of her movements, the softness of her voice. She doesn't seek attention, yet attention follows her naturally. Because confidence doesn't chase, it attracts. There's a quiet strength in a woman who knows her worth. When she wears lingerie with that knowing, she becomes art in motion. She doesn't need to prove anything. Her body becomes a canvas of assurance. She knows that beauty isn't perfection, it's presence. That awareness changes everything. Even the way she adjusts a strap or walks across a room becomes captivating. Confidence transforms the ordinary into something sacred. It makes the air heavier, slower, more intimate. A confident woman doesn't just enter a space, she fills it. She doesn't demand desire, she invites it. This is what truly weakens a man, not the sight of lingerie itself, but the energy of a woman who wears it without apology. A woman who's not waiting for approval, who doesn't shrink under someone else's gaze, but meets it with calm certainty. She doesn't need to explain her allure, she simply lives it. The lingerie becomes a symbol, not of performance, but of possession. Possession of self, of power, of pleasure. Men sense that authenticity, and it disarms them. It's the kind of energy that speaks to something ancient inside them. Something that respects strength wrapped in softness. Confidence is the bridge between the physical and the emotional. It connects what's seen with what's felt. When a woman wears her confidence like a second skin, she doesn't have to try to be seductive. She already is. Her energy says everything her words don't need to. That's the kind of allure that lingers, the kind that makes him forget the lace and remember the woman who wore it like she was born for it. There is a rhythm to true sensuality, a quiet confidence that doesn't rush but unfolds. The art of owning the moment is not about how much you reveal, it's about how deeply you inhabit yourself while doing it. Every movement, every breath, every gesture becomes part of a silent language that speaks louder than words ever could. When a woman wears lingerie with awareness, she becomes fully present in her body. She's not performing, she's being. The power lies in how she occupies space, how she allows herself to move without hesitation or self-consciousness. When she walks, her steps carry intention. When she looks, her gaze lingers, not to provoke, but to connect. She becomes poetry in motion, the kind that doesn't ask to be read but compels you to listen. Owning the moment means reclaiming your relationship with your body. It means letting your movements be slow and deliberate, unafraid of silence, unafraid of being seen. The way her hand brushes against her thigh, the way her fingers trace her own skin, the way she exhales softly. All of these small acts become sacred when done with presence. It's not about seduction for its own sake. It's about grounding in your own power. When she wears lingerie and lets herself move with that ease, she creates a magnetic field around her. The air becomes charged, the atmosphere shifts, because presence always commands attention. A man can feel it instantly. He's drawn in, not because she's trying to attract him, but because she isn't trying at all. There's something about a woman completely at ease in her own sensuality that unravels his composure. She doesn't need to rush or overplay it. Her calmness becomes hypnotic. The energy between them builds not from words, but from pauses, from stillness, from the unspoken. It's the confidence of a woman who understands that she doesn't need to chase connection. She can summon it simply by being aligned with herself. That's the kind of power that doesn't need to be announced. It's felt. Every movement becomes a choice, a conversation between her body and her energy. Even the way she adjusts the fabric against her skin becomes part of the moment. The power isn't in perfection, it's in authenticity. When she laughs softly, when she breathes deeply, when she lets her shoulders relax, those are the moments that stay with him. Because she's not acting, she's present. There's no script, no need for control. Just a woman who knows that the most captivating thing she can wear is her own awareness. The art of owning the moment is about surrendering to your own rhythm. It's knowing that your allure doesn't come from performance, but from truth. When she stands there, unhurried, confident, and deeply in tune with herself, She creates a presence that silences everything around her. It's the kind of stillness that makes him forget the world outside that room, the kind that makes him weak not from desire alone, but from witnessing something real, something rare, the power of a woman who belongs entirely to herself.